Hello, I'm here in Florida. We're doing an FAQ. I've got a lot of different questions through Instagram, email. I'm going to just read through somewhat in a reverse order, somewhat jumping around. And I've got some new colored Sharpies here to help with any diagrams or illustrations. Got my new geothermal water recommended by a friend of mine. I came here to deliver an ATG12, our top of the line model, to a gentleman who's now a friend of mine, and what a cool guy. Very, very cool guy. So I've learned a couple things, including, anyway, I'm drinking this water now. We're in Florida. All right. So just today, I won't be using any names or anything. Though these are all real questions. And again, it's a new technology, so there's no real dumb questions. I've heard someone ask me, they said, hey, you might think this sounds weird, but you know, I've heard so much stuff. Don't worry about anything sounding weird, believe me. So we'll start with a really good one. Someone who has a generator, and we've talked quite a bit, though. Again, question everything is why we're here. It's our foundation, the foundation of Western civilization, the Socratic method. So certainly all questions are welcome. I respond as soon as I can. Sometimes it takes me a day or two to get back to somebody. And of course, if there's questions about health and healing, I will not answer them because these devices are not for healing of any sort. In fact, I've refunded money because someone told me they were going to try and use the device for healing. And this is a proprietary technology. We had the option to patent it, though if you patent something that certain corporations or other interests don't like, then they'll just steal it from you or force you to sell it, you know, make you an offer you can't refuse. If you look up like the virus battery or you know, the water engine, you might find some interesting stories about that kind of stuff. Basically, they said, can you tell me how this little electrical board produces orgone and why you don't think any other orgone pyramid out there works? Okay, so first of all, we just sent a big email. Orgonite is great to experiment with. Bust out my diagram here. Orgonite is a material, a man-made material. It's not like a discovery. Someone in some forum talked, well, you know, Orgonite, it's like patenting or trademarking, you know, sand or something. Orgonite is a material that accumulates orgone. Orgone is, you know, synonymous with life force, energy, prana. How's that? Can you see that? Orgonite. Let me turn the lights on. So orgonite accumulates orgone. An Orgone generator generates orgone. And orgonite has been measured to accumulate deadly orgone by Wilhelm Reich. Wilhelm Reich did not invent orgonite. He invented the orgone accumulator. The basics of an orgone accumulator is that there's ambient orgone all around. We'll use blue. He measured orgone in what he called bions, little blue life forms, and he measured them especially to be concentrated inside an orgone accumulator and in high concentration in natural environments, like pristine natural environments. And then his accumulator is layers of organic and inorganic material. He built boxes, orgone accumulators. He theorized that it was like a male-female dynamic, a yin-yang dynamic, and that inside the accumulator, orgone would accumulate, and if you sat in there, you'd get the orgone. That was his whole thing. He never put his orgone accumulators by power lines or other high electrical areas. And he once put the orgone accumulator, he put a radium needle, a radioactive material, inside the orgone accumulator, and the whole town got sick. That's the Orgone experiment. That's also a great one to show people who are skeptical, like, hey, does this actually do anything? Well, check out the Orgone experiments, and it did quite a bit. Now, I refer people to Reich. He was an MD, and he used a lot of tools in his experiments. He used a lot of tools in his experiments, and he documented them well. So, orgone accumulates inside the orgone accumulator. Orgonite is an invention of Carl Wells in 1992, the year after he invented the Orgone Generator. Initially, he made the Orgone Generator using a layering of organic and inorganic material. Metal and duct tape actually works. So the Orgonite is basically a condensed orgone accumulator. Now, Wilhelm Reich never talked about Orgonite, though what we can find and deduce from his experiments is that a lot of the stuff he found in testing the orgone accumulator also applies to Orgonite. And well-made Orgonite is using fine iron powder or any fine metal powder, and epoxy works, which is actually, it's carbon-based. So organic and inorganic, male, female. And then, yeah, I know we're veered off here, though. We'll come right back. So, and it's relevant to the question. So you've got all these, you got this mixture, fine iron powder and epoxy. So it's an equivalent of many, many little layers. A condensed down orgone accumulator. So Orgonite is an orgone accumulator. It will accumulate orgone. Someone asked me, well, you talk about DOR, so what is orgone good for? Well, just because Orgonite can accumulate DOR, that's kind of a different animal than talking about orgone and its uses. And then the generator is the first device to actually generate orgone. And that produces a constant stream of life force energy, which can be directed towards whatsoever means you desire, except for healing. So that's a rough sketch. The generation, the constant flow of orgone. And you can feel it. We've tested it. We've got videos. We're getting all that stuff. So, you know, this video is not necessarily for the people who are very thorough in doing their own research. Some of these questions are, you know, you can find the answers to through study and critical thinking. This person later said, well, there's a lot of conflicting information out there. Okay, now again, I don't mean to be you've got to be discerning. You got to discern. This is the internet, okay? So you're always going to find something, well, this, that, the other, somebody in the comments, whatever. Check out the sources. Wilhelm Reich, Reichenbach. I linked to a lot of greats. Dr. Beverly Rubik. These people who've actually tested, studied, you know, they've got, Dr. Rubik's got a PhD. Hieronymus. There's a lot of people you can check out to do with radionics. Dr. Bell, Dr. Farrell. Okay, check these people out who are very well learned, very well read. And, you know, if you want the real information, don't take my word for it. Okay? And obviously, you know, the people on Instagram selling their own Orgonite pucks, the people on YouTube pushing knockoff Orgonite, well, you know, you're getting secondhand information. Including me, I'm aggregating a lot of different information, though I feel I've done a better job than most in linking and citing that information. And I've used this stuff for years, done my own research, and you can and most people feel the orgone right away. So by the way, this is much different than just sending a Hulda-Clark frequency or a Hertz frequency through Orgonite. Okay, so we've got that. Why don't think any other orgone pyramid out there works? Okay, Orgonite works. It's just a matter of, does it do what you want it to do, or what the person promoting it told you it would do. If someone told you that Orgonite, when placed on your Wi-Fi router, will block EMF, that's bogus. The debunking video is 100% dead on. Orgonite does not block EMF. We're very outspoken about this. In fact, Reich never put his accumulators by high electricity, and when he put his accumulator, a radioactive radium needle in his accumulator, it was very bad. So Orgonite will work. It's a matter of, will it do what you want it to do? I recommend experimenting with Orgonite outside in pristine environments like Wilhelm Reich did, and he tested this stuff very thoroughly. By the way, there are still accredited, reputable institutions who study and teach orgone, including the American College of Orgonomy. So this is not like, and I don't blame people. They see these quacks on the internet promoting their Orgonite or whatever, and they say, oh man, what a load. Because a lot of people are just spewing BS. So if you're sincerely interested, you can check out those institutions as well. There's a lot of the other research. But people who claim this or that about Orgonite give us a bad name. And, anyway. So Orgonite works. Orgonite pyramids work. They accumulate orgone. They accumulate a finite amount of orgone because they're a finite material. You've got this much Orgonite, it's going to accumulate orgone. All right, so we're going to thumb through here, find some other questions. Like this one. So what is orgone good for? This is in response to me talking about DOR. I think orgone is best for manifestation. Is there any way to fight DOR? Well, naturally, positive environments, natural environments with high orgone flow, high orgone concentration, movement, DOR won't have as much of an effect. DOR in some ways comes from stagnation.